The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, here we go, making chicken salad out of chicken shit. But before we do, I got to plug in my wife's microphone. Kristin, I'm about to plug in your microphone, and you can say hello to the good people in 3, 2, 1. Well, hey, Kristin, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. How are you today?
Hello, Steve. Welcome to the Kristin Austin Show.
Man, I better get a couple of damn tweets and some emails that people said my wife was good on the show. So now she's walking around with a head the size of a damn basketball. She can barely fit through a door. So how you doing today? You old podcaster, you?
I'm doing great. Just getting ready to make my own podcast.
Oh, Jesus. What's it going to be called?
The Kristin Austin Show with my special guest, Steve Austin.
I get to play the part of the supporting role. I like it. I dig it the most.
I'll rope you into podcasting.
Oh, yeah. So here we go, Kristin. This is an interesting setup here because, man, we're busier than, we got all kinds of shit to do. We're leaving back for Los Angeles tomorrow. We're trying to wrap everything up. And, man, you're like a clean freak, which I love. But, man, when you go to cleaning, you just scour everything down. And, like, if someone came in here and performed surgery on our kitchen floor, one of our bathroom floors, they could do it because there ain't no germs in there. Well, have you always been such a germaphobe, clean freak?
I like to clean.
I know that's one reason I married you. I mean, you have a lot of other endearing qualities, but the fact that you're not a slob like me is really a plus.
Yeah, I remember when I met you, you used to carry your mail around in a hefty bag.
You know, I was back when I was in single mode. Don't all single guys carry their bills and all their stuff, important documents around in a trash bag?
No.
I thought they did.
No.
Okay, I guess the high rollers used a suitcase. I was using a hefty trash bag. That wasn't even a shout-out for the hefty trash bag company. Kristin, last time you were on the show, you said...
that was yesterday.
Well, yeah, the other day. Well, it's funny because we did tape yesterday's show yesterday, and so we had to do this show because this is an Unleashed show. We've got to haul ass, and we're leaving on Wednesday, our first day out on the road, and we're going to try to make about 800-900 miles. So we had to record today's podcast, and so consecutive recording days. And here's the thing. I won't mention my guest's name, but I was supposed to have a guest, and I don't know where the summit overslept. Didn't wake up yet, still drunk, or had some emergency come up. I don't know, but my guest no-showed me today, so I looked at my wife and I said, man, we're fucked. We got to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Luckily, I'd had enough questions left over. The people that sent in questions at steveaustonshow.com, and that's what we're doing. We making chicken salad out of chicken shit. You down with that?
Sure.
Can you help a brother out making chicken salad out of chicken shit? That is a direct question.
Well, if you have a wireless microphone, I could actually multitask because I need to clean the house, get our food together, and pack the RV all in about an hour.
I know. My baby girl went into town. It's 15 miles into the town of Tillin. My baby girl got in my pickup truck with a load of trash
Our pickup truck.
Our pickup truck. Half of that motherfucker's mine and half of that motherfucker's hers. So anyway, Kristin got into the pickup truck, and every time we leave, when Teddy Fowler leaves or when I leave or Kristin leaves, when somebody goes into town, we load up all the trash into the back of the truck and head down to the dump, the junkyard. And so, Kristin, man, it was just like, how romantic is it to roll into town, dusty old pickup down a dirt road, got a bunch of hefty bags full of trash in the back of the truck. You pull up to the receptacle gimmicks, throw all the shit out. And then she went into town to get a couple of things because we're running short on groceries. And we always like to make our meals so we ain't got to eat at no restaurants because we're always in a hurry. My wife is almost in as much a hurry as I am, and that's another reason why we work so well together. We always in a hurry.
We'd rather starve for 18 hours than pull over and get something to eat.
Yeah, man, you're killing my time schedule. We got to stop. I wouldn't stop for gas if we had a 500-gallon gas tank. But anyway, she rolled into town, and I had run out of beer out here at the Broken Skull Ranch. I've been working my ass off, doing my workouts and all that other stuff, but I've been having a few beers. And today, Kristin, according to my Twitter account, it's National Beer Day.
Oh.
And my baby girl bought her baby a 12-pack of IPAs. Goddamn. Swig of beer for the working man. That sure was thoughtful of you to do that. How did you know that I was out?
I saw you...
No, I said, hey, buy me a 12-pack of beer.
Yeah.
I was trying to give you an escape clause just to rattle off some bullshit. Yeah. She's been having a rough day. Kristin, maybe next time we do a podcast, you should try to take an Alpha Brain and drink a Diet Red Bull like me.
No.
Why not?
That's not my gimmick.
Well, goddamn, it beats sniffing glue and taking amphetamines. But, so anyway, Kristin, last time you were on the show, I sent out these just blanket tweets on Steve Austin BSR, and it says, hey, man, I'm taking questions for tomorrow's show. Send the questions to steveaustinsshow.com. And you said if you made it about a specific topic, and then you could talk about one thing the entire show. And I got a lot of emails saying, oh, that's a great idea. Your wife is so smart. I know she's smart. Fuck, that's why I married her. So anyway, and I said, okay, Kristin, I mean, like specifically about what? And you said?
Turtles.
Now, who the fuck wants to talk about a turtle?
Well, it was just a for example.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so for
an
example.
We just talked about it.
And guess what?
What?
I got a bunch of emails about turtles. So I thought I'd give you kids, listeners, a few fun turtle facts for kids. And, of course, I did the kids thing because I went on the scientific side of the turtle, doing my due diligence and research for this podcast, trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit because my fucking guest no-showed me. A global icon and a national treasure asks you to be on this podcast, and all of a sudden they don't turn up. Kristin, you're going to find out when you get into the podcast business, when somebody no-shows you, you still got to turn in material.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the diverse audience that makes up the Steve Austin Show listeners all around the world. Always listen to me make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
You need to come up with a new saying for that.
Here's some turtle facts for you. What do you want me to do?
Lemons, lemonade.
Oh, I thought you had to try to think of another thing rather than calling myself a global icon and a national treasure.
No, the chicken salad.
Mitch, Kristin's brother, got a real kick out of the acronym I made for him.
Oh, yeah.
I called him a super individual and a local treasure. He was SILT.
Yeah.
He got a kick out of that.
Oh, he loves it.
A global icon, a national treasure, and a super individual and a local treasure.
Yeah.
Specific to the Reno, Sparks, Nevada area.
Yeah.
Silt, if you're listening to the podcast, how you doing, you motherfucker? Now, Kristin, let's have a few fun facts here about turtles and move on down the line. And we don't want to stay on the subject of turtles too long and be too slow, just like a turtle. Kristin, here's a few facts for you. Turtles are reptiles. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turtles have a hard shell that protects them like a shield. This upper shell is called a carapace.
That's new to me.
Turtles also have a lower shell called a plastron.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they got to have a plastron so they don't get blisters in their belly when they crawl across the ground.
Oh, okay.
Kristin, many turtle species, not all, can hide their heads inside their shells when attacked by predators.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most turtles you see, they draw their heads in, their arms and their legs and can't get to them. Turtles have existed for around 215 million years.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. Now, how do you find out, exactly 215 million years? How do you know that? Or how do they know that?
Well, somebody's keeping track.
I mean, but 215 million years ago? I mean, that's kind of like, Steve, when's the last time you was hitting the head with a steel chair? About 13, 14 years ago. That's pretty easy. But say, how long has a turtle been around? And some scientist just arbitrarily stands up and pulls his glasses off and says, well, I think about 215 million years. How the fuck they know that? They got it, ancient hieroglyphics show the turtle, the paintings by the cavemen as he walks across the surface of the earth. Are they finding shells, fossils? How do they know this? How do they scientifically know 250 million years is how long the turtle has been here on Earth?
Well, the turtles must have a great capacity for telling their own history.
That was total and utter bullshit. But it flies here on the Steve Austin Show. Like other reptiles, turtles are cold-blooded.
Yes.
You have something in common with the turtle.
This is a story that begins with a dying wish.
One thing I would like you to do.
My mother's last request that my sister and I finish writing the memoir she'd started about her German childhood, when her father designed a secret super weapon for Adolf Hitler. My grandfather, Robert Lesser, headed the Nazi project to build the world's first cruise missile, which terrorized millions and left a legacy that dogged my mother like a curse.
She had some secrets. Mom had some secrets.
I'm Suzanne Rico. Join my sister and me as we search for the truth behind our grandfather's work and for the first time, face the ghosts of our past.
Jeez. Who is he?
Listen to The Man Who Calculated Death. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
The largest turtle is the leatherback sea turtle. It can weigh over 2,000 pounds.
Wow.
Let me tell you something. If I see a 2,000-pound turtle, I'm going to haul ass. And here's the thing. Kristin, you have seen me run. I'm not exactly the swiftest, most gracious... I'm not exactly the most swift or graceful person on planet Earth.
No.
But I got to figure top speed. I mean, this is with me really stretching out the hamstrings. Right out here in the parking lot at the Broken Skull Ranch, I figure I could probably hit a top speed of about, for a shoot, maybe 15, 16 miles an hour. I used to be able to get close to about, I think, 18 or 19, because when we was kids growing up in Edna High School, when we were kids growing up in Edna, me and my brothers Scott and Kevin, all the cops would come by the house, and we were friends with them because this is just a small town of Edna. And so they'd break out their radar guns, and me, Scott, and Kevin would run down the street.
You're kidding, right?
No, straight up, true story. And they would time us with their radar guns. And because Edna...
There must have been little crime in Edna for them to take their time to do that.
No, but you know, the thing about it now, I mean, there's a lot of drugs in Edna. I mean, there's drugs everywhere. So now those guys are really busy. But no, it just goes to show how cool the cops were back in the day. And a long time ago, you know, like in Edna, you could go to the police station and you could see on the wall they had all the shanks and the shivs and all the stuff that the guys had made when they were in the local jail to try to stab people with. We go see all that stuff. And I'll never forget, me, Scott, and Kevin went in there one time, and they said, hey, you guys want to get in a jail cell? And we'll shut the door? I said, all right. So, man, me, Scott, and Kevin got in there, and I can't remember if there was a swing door or they slid it across and locked it. And right then, Kristin, because you know that I'm claustrophobic, kind of like you are.
Yeah.
And that little jail cell, I don't know, it might have been 6 by 10, whatever it was. And when those doors shut, I knew at that time in my life, and I was probably 10, 11 years old, and first of all, my parents raised me to be a pretty good kid, but that's when I knew that I was never going to go to fucking jail or prison because I ain't got time for that shit. Being locked in a cage ain't for me. Did you ever get locked up in a jail?
No.
Ever been arrested?
No.
Did you ever go down and visit the police and have them put you in a jail?
No.
Yeah. Well, see, that deterred me from a life of crime. Don't get me wrong. I fucked up here or there a couple times, but I ain't never spent no time in no jail. I ain't got time for that shit. I don't dig it the most. Anyway, back to the turtles, Kristin, that turtles lay eggs. In some species of turtle, the temperature determines if the egg will develop into a male or female. Lower temperatures lead to a male, while higher temperatures lead to a female. Some turtles lay eggs in the sand and leave them to hatch on their own. The young turtles make their way to the top of the sand and scramble to the water while trying to avoid predators. Now, I wonder if these predators are like the big cranes and stuff that would prey upon these turtles before they can get their ass in the water. I didn't look that up. I didn't have time to research the predators that are going to prey on the baby turtles when they come out of the sand from being laid there as eggs by their parents, and the parents done left them. Because I was expecting to have a goddamn guest who I put a little time, energy, heart, and soul doing the research and background on this motherfucker. So anyway, 2 more things about the turtles, Kristin, and we're going to move along. Sea turtles have special glands which help remove salt from the water they drink. Turtles live in salt water out in the sea don't mean they like to drink it because you can't live on salt water. Kill your ass. Many turtle species are endangered. And I want to pause right here. Moment of silence for those species of turtle that are endangered. All right, that's quite enough. You can't have too much silence on a podcast, Kristin. I've learned that.
You've told me this.
Now, you know what? Because if you have a pause on a podcast, like just then, that works. That's kind of a pregnant pause.
Yeah.
But it's one thing, like when you're doing a video interview, and this is my take on podcasting, because here in a little bit, someone's going to ask me if I'd ever gotten into any kind of broadcasting school. And, of course, the answer is no. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But it's one thing if you ask someone a question on television and you can see them thinking. But if you ask somebody a question on a podcast, all you're hearing is silence. And so sometimes that silence, man, I mean, like, I'm bad on commercials. You know me, I don't even listen to the radio because I can't, handle commercials. That being said, I know there's commercials in the Steve Austin Show because we got to pay the bills. But just those gaps in silence, I just like to keep things moving. I mean, look at our conversation. We're talking right now, right? Got to make sure we're still speaking with each other.
I'm over here snoozing.
Well, no, but because you get so sidetracked, you get so sometimes you don't multitask very well because you get so focused on the efforts of cleaning that I've got a broom in my one hand, and I've got stuff I need to cook in the kitchen. Yeah, we're trying to get our meals ready for our trip, but sometimes you get so focused and just
task-driven.
No, but you get focused on doing one thing, and because like we tried to do this podcast 30 minutes ago, and it wasn't very good.
No.
And let me ask you something, because I was talking about cleaning before I go back to these questions that the people sent in. The other day, it was Margaritaville time. It was about 6 o'clock. We was going to take a ride out there on the ranch, and I was making margaritas. When I make a margarita, and I'll make a good one if you come out to the ranch, I'll make one for you. And we had gone to the store a few days before, and I bought about 2 gallons of Patron Silver Tequila, and I was making those drinks, and I was using a tumbler to pour the drinks back and forth to mix them. And then while I was drinking my margarita, I decided to add another shot. And so I was going to pour it into the tumbler and pour it back in. And when I did, unbeknownst to me, you had poured a bunch of Clorox in the bottom of that cup that I was using to mix my margaritas.
I was spraying the gnats that were attracted to the sweetness of the margarita.
I know.
But you're lucky I saved your life.
I know. As soon as I take a swig of the margarita, she goes, "Don't drink it. There's Clorox in there." And I'm thinking, what the fuck you putting Clorox in a drinking tumbler for? You could have killed me.
You were pretty hot about it.
Well, I know, because I had to pour out when I make a margarita, I'm drinking out of these big-ass tumblers now.
Yeah.
And so, that was probably wasted about, I think I had about 5 shots in it.
Probably $50 worth of tequila.
$50 worth of tequila. Yeah, had you been at a bar, it probably would have set you back $75 for that drink. Out here at the Broken Skull Ranch, it cost of goods. I give it to you on the house. Hell, I owe so many people so many beers around the world for all these dings and stuff that go off. If you make it down to the Broken Skull Ranch, first margaritas on me. Kristin, please don't put cleaning supplies in any more of the cups that I use to make margaritas.
Well, I spray insects with Windex and bleach. So.
We got the cleanest insects in town. You know what? I'm glad you brought up the insect thing, because I was telling you guys we had a honeybee problem the other day. And then we was out there battling them, and I had all this wasp spray. And the honeybees were no selling the wasp spray for the most part. It wasn't even bothering them. And so I got all these emails calling me in and said, "Steve, don't kill the honeybees, relocate them." Well, how the fuck am I supposed to relocate them, Kristin? I'm going to go out there with a flute like a Pied Piper and play a tune that I hope strikes their fancy and get 15,000 honeybees to follow me across the pasture?
Maybe you can douse yourself with honey and get on your motorcycle.
I get on my Kawasaki KLX 450 Pop a Wheelie and tell all the, "Come on, honeybees, follow me." Or I go into town, Hertz Rent-A-Car, and get a school bus. I don't know if they rent school buses. No, I'll go to the Tilden Schoolhouse.
Yeah.
They got a school bus I can rent, and I'll get all the honeybees on the damn school bus and drive them across the county line and drop their ass off. And so then what I got to do? I got to get the honeycomb out of the house and put it in the fucking bus too. Going to be a hell of a cleanup effort in this. We got to drive back to Los Angeles, California. I ain't got time to be relocating no honeybees. So I was trying to kill their ass. Probably somebody from PETA listening to this damn podcast going to file charges on me.
Well, I tried to do it the humane way. I read online that you can put a bucket with dish soap near the honeybees, but for some reason no honeybees were attracted to it. I only got bumblebees in there.
Well, that's funny, because I saw a couple of honeybees out there washing their dishes in that bucket. That's bullshit. That was after margarita number 3, so it might have really happened. Hey, Kristin, enough about the honeybees. I've got a real dilemma for you, and this comes in from a cat here, and he says, "Hey, Steve, I face a dilemma, a moral conundrum for which I feel there is no resolution for. Here's the background. My 3.5-liter V6 Mitsubishi blew its transmission and left me without transport over the new year. I had just 2 weeks before had it in for engine service, inflicting considerable damage to my wallet. I got pretty salty over it and immediately decided I was not spending a single dollar more on that car. So I walked to the various car yards in town and browsed and test drived, and I ended up with a Toyota Camry hybrid. Yeah, a hybrid, like the Toyota Prius. But this is not a Prius, it's a Camry. And God help me, I've come to love the sound of the electrical part of the engine winding up and down as much as I love the sound of my old V6 engine. While it lacks the torque and power, I can just be in traffic or in a drive-through or park on the side of the road and not use a single drop of fuel because the engine cuts off when it's not needed. Now, it's not a Prius, but it is a hybrid engine vehicle. Do I have to hand in my man card? What's the deal? Maz. No, Maz, the fact that you footed it around town and tried to find yourself a ride and you got a damn job that you got to get to and from, I can dig the fact that you got an electric hybrid Camry. I ain't got nothing against the Toyota Prius. Now, the thing that chaps my ass about a Toyota Prius is some of the entitled drivers that seem to be driving these particular types of cars, the Toyota Prius owner. Now, don't get me wrong. One of my best friends, my lawyer buddy, drives a Toyota Prius, Keith.
Yep.
And that's a smart, bad, cool motherfucker. And I'm sure he's a great driver, but so many of the damn people don't use their blinkers. And, Kristin, your pet peeve is?
When you see a Prius driver smoking a cigarette and then they flick their cigarette out the window.
Yeah, because if you're trying to be green with your footprint because you're driving a hybrid vehicle and you got your grubby hand out the window with the cigarette and it's smoking up the damn atmosphere and eating a hole in the ozone layer, and then you take that last drag, huff it out the window, and then just flick your cigarette out there on the damn pavement.
That irritates me.
Does a Prius not come with a goddamn ashtray to put a cigarette in? That's one thing I got to find out, because the most times, or the only time I ever been in a Toyota Prius, and I never thought I'd see this day in my life, most times now in Los Angeles, other than the Crown Vic, the most popular vehicle for a taxi cab is the
Prius,
Toyota Prius.
Yeah.
They're pretty fun to ride in because they're quiet. You can actually hear yourself talk in them.
Maybe we should get one.
Nah, I ain't getting no. Now, homie, don't play that shit. Now, that's where I got to draw the line.
If we can get like an RV that's electric, that'd be great.
We got to get it. No, man, see, here's the thing.
'Cause then we
my
could talk.
buddy Norm, he got a Tesla. A Tesla is an electric vehicle, and it does like 0 to 60 in 4.0 seconds, or it might be faster than that. But that's a pretty cool electrical vehicle.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with that vehicle. I mean, you got to charge it up after about 200. It might have a range of 250, and it's not like you can just, if you fill up for gas, it takes you 5 minutes to fill up a tank of gas. Charge that thing on a quick charge. It's going to take you 12 hours, so it ain't practical for us to take
It'll
that
take
kind
us
of
a very long
Here's
time
the
to
deal.
get here.
We going to get an electric RV, and we're going to get a 1,500-mile-long extension cord. I'm telling you.
You're onto something.
Man, that alpha brain turns me into a smart motherfucker. Hey, dig this, Kristin. Here's comes from Dan. He says that he just started listening to the podcast a few months ago and digs the show. And so anyway, he's just complimenting the show. It's an award-winning podcast. Has never won an award. And he goes, secondly, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume you have no formal audio broadcast training. So where did you learn how to broadcast, and how much show prep do you put into each podcast? Thanks for taking the time. Swig of water, beer, Coke. Dan, I prep like a motherfucker when I'm going to interview somebody, sometimes spending between, either half a day to 4 days, depending on who I'm going to interview, watching all their stuff that they've done, reading as much as I can about them. If they have a book, I just got finished interviewing Shawn Michaels, luckily, and Shawn Michaels' book is in the New York Times bestseller list. That was a short book, and it was a fun read because I like Shawn Michaels so much and interested to hear about his journey. So I do all the things I can to be prepared to put on a good show and ask good questions. Sometimes when your guest shows you and you got to pull a rabbit out of a hat, you just got to go cut and paste all these emails, just put them in order, and it's random order. And I just fired down the line, and occupy time, try to give you 60 minutes of audio whoop-ass and going through this stuff.
And you just recently learned how to cut and paste.
I know. God damn, that was a real lifesaver because I ain't the most technologically smart sumbitch in the world now. I can show you how E equals MC squared on a calculator, but homie just learned how to cut and paste. And then, you got to do your reads and all your bullshit. So, one of these shows actually takes several hours to put together. And
sometimes you take a whole entire day.
And that is no lie. I mean, sometimes a whole day, I don't want to say wasted because I have other things to do, but sometimes it takes an entire day to do one podcast, which for you ends up being anywhere between an hour and an hour and a half worth of listening. So it's a lot of goddamn work, but it is what it is, and I enjoy it, and able to put a smile on some people's faces and take their mind off work. And speaking of that, here's a pretty cool one that just came in today. And he says, "Hey, Steve, I'm a retired Army Ranger who suffers from PTSD. I just recently found a podcast, and I love it. I've always been a huge fan, but this is by far the coolest shit you've ever done. Because of my condition, I'm not the most sociable person anymore. I'm happily married with 3 great kids, but there are days when I don't want to speak to anyone unless I have to. Listening to you and Ted has brought my smile back." Ted Fowler 361. I listen at work and try to listen while I'm at the gym, but it's tough to get yoked when you're cracked up while under the squat bar doing squats, plus people look at me like I'm crazy, just walk around laughing my ass off. My wife and kids, thank you for bringing my smile back, buddy. Keep up the great work. Tell Mr.
Nice.
Fowler thanks as well. And that comes from a guy named Paul. I won't mention his last name.
That's very nice.
Man, I tell you what, Paul, that's probably one of the highest compliments I could be paid, to be able to put a smile on your face with the things, the problems that you're suffering from. And I appreciate your service for our country, and I hope you get better, and I hope that the Steve Austin Show is around a long time to keep entertaining you. I get a lot of emails from people in the service, serving overseas all around the world, and from people just right here in the United States of America. So thank you very much for the email. That means a lot to me, that I can make you feel better. And that's the end of at the end of the day, that's what the show is all about. Here and there, I like to pass down a few helpful tidbits of information that I came across or learned in the process of growing up. But at the end of the day, it's entertainment. Kristin, shifting gears, I got one for you here.
Well, in a few minutes, I have to go meet the FedEx guy at the front gate.
Okay, we got a FedEx package coming. Check it out. The other day, we was talking about Moolah chewing things up, and she chewed up the razor.
Yes, she did.
For my DollarShaveClub.com razors. So on the show email today, here it goes. Dear Steve, you successfully added the following to your next Dollar Shave Club shipment. 1 times Humble Twin Extra Razor Handle, $2.
Yay.
So they're charging it on the credit card,
okay.
And we got a new handle coming to us.
We better get back to L.A. fast.
My wife's trying to get back to L.A. so she can go to
My
her
razor's
super
waiting
class.
for me.
Oh, yeah. We had Dollar Shave Club razor waiting at the house. And we got to expedite this. I'm going to drive 24 hours straight to get home. So, Dollar Shave Club, listen to the show and send us a damn handle.
Thank you.
Send me one more because my wife stole mine, and I've been having to use them cheap-ass razors. Either that or I hold one of them razors between my thumb and my forefinger, and I ain't looking too good by shaving like that. It's hard to trim up my goatee. Thank you, Dollar Shave Club. I appreciate it. Dig this one, Kristin. This is a question about wrestling. Hey, Steve, when someone wins a title, do they get to keep that belt even after they lose it in a match, or are the same ones just passed around as props? Also, are different belts used on TV versus photos and publicity events? I saw you on a SmackDown many years ago, and the title you were tossing around like a rag doll looked all dingy up close, but in pictures they are always shiny. It's always interesting when you talk about your perspectives and inner workings of wrestling. Bobby Brown, I'll tell you what, with regards, do people get to keep the belts? Most of the time, you do not get a chance to keep that belt. It is passed from one person to the next. Over the course of my time and over the course of many careers, guys will talk to the promoter like I talked to Vince McMahon. When I got dropped on my head that night in Jersey against Owen Hart, that belt that I have in my safe, I think was carried by Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude. I know Ultimate Warrior had that belt. That was the belt. I think Sean and Brett had that belt, and that was the real McCoy. And I told Vince when I got dropped on my head and I was going to vacate that title or whatever happened, I said, I'm keeping that belt. And he said, okay, Steve. He understood what it meant to me about what happened in that match. I had the original Winged Eagle belt. I still have that one. I had the World Television title from WCW. I was able to keep a few of those belts. A lot of guys have went to great lengths to borrow them, I will say. In most cases, those belts that we take on the road are the ones that are always in the photos. But these days, they keep, and a lot of photo shoots, I'm sure they put the newer belts out there. The ones that they have are a lot shinier and newer than the ones back in the day. But, man, those battle scars and those scratches and those dents and those dings, you try to take care of those belts. But like you said, man, I was rough on a belt. I'd toss that summit around like a rag doll, and when it come time to blast someone in the head with it, you had to lay it in. And if the guy was hitting you with a belt, vice versa. So, those things go through wear and tear. And it's always cool when you get a badass shiny belt. But it's always cool, too, as you see the wear and tear that is inflicted upon that thing. And therefore, it kind of is seasoned and is branded. And so that's the bottom line on those belts.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
Hey, it's Adam Carolla from The Adam Carolla Show. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch and bet on games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball as well. BetOnline has NHL, MMA, and championship boxing, all your betting needs in one place. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. So have some fun. Make these games and these events and these combat sports a little more interesting with BetOnline. BetOnline. The game starts here.
All right, everybody, here we go. Let's get back to it. Answer questions you sent in to questions, SteveAustinShow.com. And here's a question that says, hey, Steve, just listened to your badass award-winning podcast. You mentioned The Walking Dead quite a bit. I was just wondering, what's your favorite weapon gimmick on the show? The katana blade used by Michonne, the crossbow used by Daryl, or the Colt used by Rick? Man, that samurai sword that Michonne uses is pretty damn badass. And the thing about it is how good she is with it. So I always wondered, they always train the people for the parts that they're about to play. But, does she have a background in the martial arts? Or she just take to the training really good and is awesome with the sword? Because she's absolutely lethal and totally believable with the sword. So it's always awesome to watch her in action. My wife just returned from going to the front gate.
Yep.
What do we have?
I ordered some Whimsies, the dog teeth chews.
Oh, see, every time we feed our dogs, my wife gives these gimmicks to our dogs, and they chew on them, and they eat them, so she got them FedExed over here. Now, why were we such in a dire need for these gimmicks to feed the dogs to clean their teeth? Was it an emergency before we got on the road to California?
Well, no, I had ordered them, but it just took a little longer, so, and I didn't bring enough down. I didn't calculate properly.
Yeah, man, I tell you, we got the most spoiled dogs in the universe. They just answered the question about my favorite weapons used on The Walking Dead, and I was just covering how cool Michonne was with the samurai sword. And I like Daryl, too, man, that crossbow. I got to get me a crossbow now because Daryl is pretty badass with that thing. The only thing, trying to look at some faults of The Walking Dead, how well-written that show is, when Daryl's using that crossbow, he's using field points rather than broadheads. So I don't know how I can understand how he kills the zombies with that field point, but when he's shooting rabbits, squirrels, and possums, that field point wouldn't kill those animals like it has. And then it's finally to the Colt used by Rick. That's old school, but man, having a damn big-ass revolver pointed at you is pretty intimidating. But I got to go Michonne with the samurai sword, then Daryl with a crossbow. And the pistol is what it is. Which one you like better, the samurai sword or the...
I like Michonne's sword.
Yeah, but we like her character. Well, we like Daryl's character, too.
Yeah, those are my two favorite characters.
Yeah, so they're pretty badass. And here's another one. Hey, Steve, during the Attitude Era when you and Vince were doing sports entertainment gold on a weekly basis, no, that was pro wrestling. Did Vince ever pitch an idea to you that you turned down because you thought it would cross the line or go too far? That's coming from Dylan over in Spokane, Washington.
I think they call it Spokane.
Spokane?
I think so.
We can call it Spokane. You say potato, I say patata. Actually, I don't say patata, but that's an old saying I thought I'd bust out here on the show. Here's one. I was working an angle with Kane, and it was the deal where Kane, the big red machine, had challenged me to a match, or it was the first blood match, I think, and he said that if he did not beat me, he would set himself on fire. And out of all the things that I'd done, I always thought that, man, maybe we're pushing the limits there, because what if someone actually tried to pour gas on themselves and set themselves on fire? So at least I voiced my concerns. I didn't shoot down the angle, but that was one time when just safety came to mind because of the ramifications in case someone did that. Anyway, I always liked working with Glenn Jacobs, who played the part of Kane. Big dude, strong as an ox, graceful in the ring, never hurt you. But that was a case, and I enjoyed working that first blood match with him there in whatever town that was, and that was trying to follow that Hell in a Cell match that Undertaker and Mankind put on, and wasn't no way we was going to try to be able to touch that with a 10-foot pole. That match was off the charts, but we lit it up. We put in a good performance, and that's when I just come out of that hospital from a staph infection where I was for 3 days and rolled into battle. Kane and setting himself on fire was one of those times. Let's go to another one, Kristin.
All right, Steve.
Here we go. Steve, I was watching No Mercy 2001, and I saw firsthand how bad that gash Mr. McMahon gave you to the back of your head with that chair. I noticed it because I remember you mentioned on that old book, Unscripted. Did you ever get compensation for that, and do you think the chair shot contributed in any way to health problems in the aftermath? Mike. Mike, I never have noticed any kind of problems from that chair shot. Hot. So there's been absolutely nothing wrong with me. All the damage was, that's more of a visual thing than a podcast joke. Anyway.
Maybe I can video you doing that and we can post it on Twitter.
Put it on Twitter. Put it on the Facebook page. Hey, I'll never forget that. We were working the Kill Center in St. Louis. And it was always a great building. That was a great territory for pro wrestling. And I was in the ring with Vince, and I was giving him a perfect perpendicular shot to lay a chair across my back. And he turned sideways and lipped me right across the back of my head with the edge of that chair, the lip of the chair. And that's the hardest part of the steel chair, and that's the part of the steel chair that you don't want to hit someone with. And he cracked me right in the back of the fucking head and split me open. And, of course, I'm laying there selling it. And I'm watching the blood pour out of my head and pool up on the mat. And thinking, God damn, this really hurts. But you can't reach back and rub it because you're allegedly out. And so anyway, it was cool. I went into the back, and I think the doctor put about 6 or 8 staples in the back of my head, and I still got that scar. But I tell you what, I probably put 8 or 16 stitches in Vince's head because, I caught him in a couple pretty bad blows as well. And we always tried to take care of each other. And most time when I was getting hit in front on, I'd put my hands up. But I took a few chair shots that left a few stitches. But here's the thing, and when you're using a chair, you've got to lay that thing in, because if you don't, there goes the angle. Because, it's a work, but it's got to be believable. So you got to, when you're swinging them steel chairs, you pretty much got to swing for the fence and try to back off a con here right at impact. There's a real art to throwing a hell of a steel chair. Let's move on. Hey, Steve.
You sent me a question that somebody was asking me.
What?
Said, what would your fans be surprised to know something about you?
Okay. Oh, yeah. The thing came on Twitter, so I emailed it to you. What would be some surprising things that people would not know about me? So what would it be? That
you talk doggle talk.
I talk, dog will talk. What does that mean?
When you talk to the dogs and you imitate them and you speak for their voice?
Yeah, each of these dogs has different voices that I make up for them. Now, I'm not going to do any voices on the podcast because it'd be highly embarrassing. But Shona has a voice. She's kind of
Aloof.
She's a little bit aloof, but she's kind of like the Beverly Hills Rodeo type. And Hershey, the Wonder Dog, is kind of like the everyday dog. I used to have a real good voice for Brio.
Brio, yeah.
We had to put Brio down about a year and a half, 2 ago. That was a real sad day. Is there any other fun and interesting facts other than the fact that I have voices for these dogs, Kristin? You're killing my gimmick off.
Yeah, but you actually talk like them all day long.
But how about, to tell people like I shave with a Bowie knife? Something macho, cool.
No.
Okay. Okay, well, you're the one that asked the question. You got to have more answers. Certainly. I can't be limited to just talking like a dog.
I'll have to think about that.
Okay, so next time...
I have to research that one for my podcast.
Okay, so there you go. You got to put a little time and effort in this.
You sure you don't want to imitate the dogs?
You can't just go into your podcast blind and not know where the shit of wine you watch. You got to do your research.
You sure you don't want to talk
probably
like the
you could say, Steve, oh, well, you know what? He does crochet and needlepoint and, stuff like that. I love to play solitaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solitaire is never a game I got into.
You used to play it on your iPhone.
Oh, when you turned me on to that one time, but then I lost my attention span and stopped playing.
No, you lost your app.
I didn't lose the app. But see, like here's back in the day when people actually used to play solitaire with a deck of cards, and that was never me. It seemed like boring as hell.
Yeah, but when you're sitting in the car wash waiting for your car to get done.
Well, that's something to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve, longtime fan of you as a wrestler, but this question is music-related. Like you, I'm a big Black Label Society fan. I was wondering if you could tell me your favorite album from their discography, and that's coming from Dominic in Jersey. Man, I don't know about all the different albums. I'm going on to my Pandora music. No, not my Pandora, but my personal music right here, Black Label Society. That's from the Blessed Hell Ride, and the 2 songs I got off there were Stillborn and Funeral Bell. I really dug those. I love Bleed For Me, which is part of my last Stone Cold video, Demise of Sanity, Speedball, and, of course, Graveyard Disciples, the way that thing starts off is awesome. And then, hold on, this other 2 Black Label music things I have, House of Doom and Crazier High is off Hangover Music Volume 6. And these are the ones on my iPhone currently, and the other ones that I have on didn't transfer. Because on our computer, our home computer in Marina Del Rey, Jesus Christ, we got every Black Label Society album on there. What was there an album or song that you liked, Kristin?
Gosh, you put me on the spot here. I liked all the ones that you mentioned.
Okay, check this out. Let's switch on and move on down the road here because we got to clean this place up, and I got to go mow the yard and weed it before.
Are you sure you're gonna have time for that?
I got to mow the grass. Yeah, so that's why shit's got to get done.
All right,
hey,
well, let's go.
Here's a dude that mailed in a bunch of questions, and he says, "Hey Steve, would like to hear your thoughts on some of the following: cars. The best ones for going up and down the road as a pro wrestler." Okay, man, as a pro wrestler back in the day. A lot of us would get the Chevy, what was the Astro van, or it was a
Ford. Was that a Ford or a Chevy?
It was like an Illumina van. But anyway, me and Flying Brian Pillman and Raven used to travel on one of those. The Buick LeSabre was a pretty good car back in the day, and Ford Taurus was a good drop car. When you started making top money or good money, guys always rented either the North Star Cadillacs or the Lincoln Town Car. And so those are the 2 de facto cars that said, hey, you're doing pretty good in the business, plenty of room in the trunk. And I always liked the Cadillac just because when that North Star V8 first came out, it used to run like hell. So I preferred that over the Lincoln. But then the Cadillac started falling off, and the Lincoln took over. So then he says, acting. What's it like on set? What do you do to prepare? I just try to learn my lines. I don't know too much about getting into a character, nothing like that. And
we have to practice over and over and over.
I know, but,
Can you read my lines with me?
Oh, man, I read my lines with my wife, and she reads. You do a great job of reading. But it's like reading with a teacher.
Yeah.
Because you were a teacher. So anyway, man, I don't know about what it's like to be on set. Advice for a good audition. Man, you got to really be off the page on that shit. Half time I go in there, I read the damn lines right off the page. But you know what? I quit going to auditions because I don't really care too much about acting anymore. Will I? Sure I will. But going to the audition process is just nerve-wracking anyway. And I would rather go to do Broken Skull Challenge or Redneck Island or any of the other reality television stuff that I do than act, because it's a better frame of mind for me. I find that I have a lot better time being a version of me than trying to be a different character in a movie. And that was all the questions that he sent in. So that was from Sean in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Appreciate you sending in the questions, Sean. All right, here we go with the dog question, Kristin.
Oh, okay.
Steve, you talk about your dogs all the time on the show. It's obvious how much time you and your wife care about them. It sounds as though you use them while you're out hunting, though. So I wonder why you do that when they could come to harm while out on the hunt. Coming from the UK, I don't really understand the whole hunting thing, as we don't really do it here. Maybe they're not really at risk as much as I imagine, but with all the snakes and mountain lions, etc., out there, it seems like there would be. I'm sure the dogs love it as well, but to be fair, I would appreciate you explaining this. That's coming from Ash in London. He's concerned about the welfare of our dogs. Oh, here's the thing. We like to take the dogs on a walk every single day. And so we walk down the road to the front gate. It's about a mile long. And right now the weeds are pretty tall because it's been raining out here at the Broken Skull Ranch. And our dogs are about halfway trained just to stay on the gravel road part. And if they venture into the grass where we can't see and there might be a snake, my wife, who has the loudest voice in the world, starts screaming for them to get their ass out of the grass and onto the road. Would that be a correct assessment, Kristin?
Yes, and they know to walk on the road.
And every now and then, like her, she'll go over there and take a shit, and got to be proud of her for that. But, and then, man, I tell you what, Ted
But we
Fowler
don't hunt
360
with them.
Do what?
We don't hunt with them.
No, we don't hunt with them. Like these dogs are bird dogs, but they're city slicker dogs.
They swim in a swimming pool in L.A.
Yeah.
And they don't, yeah.
We don't really put them in harm's way. Like when I go deer hunting with Hershey, I pick her up and carry her into the deer stand, and then
she goes to sleep.
And then she goes to sleep, and then I carry her down from the deer stand, and like if I go track a deer or something, she'll follow behind me. But if it's rattlesnake conditions, if it's too warm, I'll leave her in the truck with the windows rolled down. So they're not really exposed to too much. When we first got here to the ranch,
and they have rattlesnake vaccines too.
Our dogs get the
rattlesnake vaccine.
Rattlesnake vaccine.
Yeah.
How often?
Well, now it's just once a year.
Once a year? But
Yeah.
it seemed like we took them in every 6 months.
Well, no, I think the first couple times you give it, you have to do it once a month for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then it's once a year.
So anyway, when you get your dogs these rattlesnake booster shots, it kind of makes them a little bit immune to it. Here's the thing. If your dog gets
it just lessens the effects of the venom.
It lessens the effects of the venom. Anyway, Ash, man, our dogs are almost never at risk here. But that being said, Ted's killed rattlesnakes here in the pavilion with the concrete slab that's in between the houses out here. So you never know out here in South Texas when and where there's going to be a rattlesnake. We just always try to be very vigilant in the process. Always keep your eyes on the ground when you're walking out here. If you're walking up to a vehicle, whether it's a pickup truck or one of the four-wheelers, always look underneath the thing before you just step up to it, because there could be a snake under there cooling in the shade. So we're not really putting the dogs at risk out here. What?
Well, Ted takes his dogs hunting. He does that, but we don't do that. Our dogs don't hunt.
No, yeah, but and Ted's never had any issues with his dogs out here whatsoever.
No.
Now there is like some Kevlar vests and some other things to protect the dogs, but we've never used any of those.
But my brother he has dogs that he hunts with, but they're trained for that.
Well, I mean, Mitch was talking. I mean, he had a dog. That one time when they had the mountain lion in the cave. And that damn mountain lion was in there shredding them dogs. So, I mean, but that just kind of goes part and parcel with it. And that's what those dogs were bred for, and they love it. I think
yeah,
it's a
but
little
I would
bit rugged.
never ever.
No, I know we ain't going to take our dogs on a mountain lion. But
No.
anyway, our dogs are city slickers, and that's the bottom line.
And they're spoiled to death.
All right. Kristin, here you go. It says, listen to today's podcast. Got a couple of things. Now that the Walking Dead series is over till next season, have you and Kristin checked out first season of HBO's True Crime? I think he's talking about True Detective.
Yeah, I think maybe there's a show called True Crime, but...
No, it's called with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson.
It's True Detective. Yeah.
Oh, man, we absolutely loved it.
Yes.
And it's like right when you think Matthew McConaughey's the best actor, here comes Woody Harrelson with a hell of a scene. So those two guys ripped it to
Outstanding.
shreds. Michelle Monaghan's was great as Woody Harrelson's wife. It was just a great series, and we dug that kind of voodoo thing that was going on in New Orleans, and I thought the location really lent itself to the mystique of the show, and the writing of the show was just tremendous.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how the next season goes with two other cats playing the parts of the detectives and how it will play out.
And we'll be watching it.
And we will be watching. It was a badass thing. Hey, Steve, also, if you remember, my wife and I would really like to check out that recipe that Kristin found for the panko chicken. Sounds damn delicious. So if you remember, with as busy as you are, and if you have time to reply to this email, it would be much appreciated. Kristin, this is coming from a guy named Steve Vaughan, not Stevie Ray Vaughan, one of the greatest guitar players in the history of the world. So what are you going to do? You going to put the panko chicken recipe on the website or what?
Yeah, I found it online, so...
Okay, well, you got to post it.
What I'll do is I find them, and then I kind of put my own twist on it. So I'll send the recipe, but just kind of add or delete what you like or what you don't like.
Okay, anyway,
yeah. Here
comes a dude. He's from... Alex from Newcastle, UK. And the question is one I've already answered, so he just tells me, he goes, P.S., you should try Newcastle Brown Ale, which is a working man's drink in this part of the world. Alex, I drank so much Newcastle Brown Ale back in the day, I might as well have had an English accent. I drank gallons of that stuff. It's damn good beer. For a long time, when I was living in Georgia, that was the go-to beer that I would buy at the store. So very familiar with it. Very good beer. My taste buds have kind of moved on to a different direction. But yes, to your point, Newcastle Brown Ale is a damn good beer. Here's an interesting question from an MMA fan. He goes, hey, Steve, Robbie McGuire here from Dublin, Ireland. That's right, Kristin. This show goes all over the world. He goes, as you're a big MMA UFC fan, have you got any thoughts on the upcoming 145-pound bout with Ireland's next big thing, Conor McGregor, and the reigning champ, Jose Aldo? This kid, Conor McGregor, has lit our small island on fire. Do you have any opinion on him? Man, I tell you what, that Conor McGregor is very charismatic. What a showman. He's lit the sport on fire. He's turned into a lightning bolt. He's just cutting some outstanding promos. The persona, his clothes, he dresses up real nice. And Jose Aldo is one of those guys, he's Brazilian, so he's not going to speak a whole lot of English. I'll tell you what, the press conferences, the stuff that I've seen has been off the hooks. So everybody's going to buy this pay-per-view, and it's great to see the people.
When is it?
It's coming up. It's great to see the people rally behind Conor McGregor, and he's very exciting. In his past fight when he fought Dennis Seaver, and I think Dennis Seaver was ranked number 9 or 10, I think, at the time they fought. And he dispatched him pretty handily. But here's the thing, man, when you step into the octagon with Jose Aldo, whole different level of skills and athleticism, and such a well-rounded guy. He's going to have his hands full. It's going to be a great fight. And I can't even pick the winner. But I just will say that Jose Aldo is given everybody fits in that division. So it'll be a great fight. But Conor McGregor is damn sure doing big things in the MMA world. Now, here's a short answer, Kristin. If you could change one thing about your wrestling career, what would it be? And this is from Umar Ahmed. I'll tell you what, if I could change one thing about that wrestling career, I would have done the favors for Brock Lesnar in Atlanta, Georgia. But it would have been cool to do the favors for Brock Lesnar if he was red hot like he's currently at right now in the business, the way he's just throwing everybody around in the WWE. And a great match what they just had in WrestleMania 31, and the things that him and Paul Lee have accomplished, ascending to such a high level. I know that me doing the favors for him years ago would have helped get him over to a degree. But that was such a main event match, which would have been just wasted at a Monday Night Raw taping with no build-up. It was a shitty booking decision, but I wish I would have at least handled that situation better, and at the very least, do the favors for the guy. What are you looking at?
You're playing footsies with me.
I'm not playing footsies with you. Here's the thing. I'm wearing a pair of sandals right now, so I take the sandals off, and then I put them back on. And so Kristen's foot's down there. She thinks I'm trying to play footsies with her, which I'm not. Here's the thing. Kristen looked at my feet just a while ago, and, that's a word of the day right there, while ago. People want to know what while ago means.
Oh, me
And
too.
my toenails need to be trimmed with a chainsaw.
Yes,
They're
they
out
do.
of control.
Yeah.
So
I was pointing at him while you were talking on the phone.
I know, but see, here's the thing. Like the 1-2 times I went and got a manicure, pedicure with you, and then my toenails were like, man, they were clean as they'd ever been. And even when they touched your feet, like when we go to sleep at night, you would repulse and jerk your foot back with horror. So what's the deal? They scrubbed the shit out of my damn toes.
I don't like
trimmed
feet.
them up.
I don't like feet.
Is it just my feet? Is it anybody's feet? What is it?
I just don't like feet.
Okay.
Yours aren't the prettiest.
Man, I got some ugly ass feet. But they get me around.
You and the alligator kind of have feet that look the same.
Me and the alligator have feet kind of the same. All right. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to wrap this thing up, Kristen, because we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
and this is the second time we did this podcast. And, again, making chicken salad out of chicken shit because my guest no showed me today. And sometimes that happens in the podcast business. Sometimes that happens in any business in the world. I've got to jump on my little lawnmower that Ted Fowler 361 brought back, crank that thing up, and last time we had to push mower this thing, so I hope I can get out there and make short work of the yard, weed eat real quick, make sure this place is high and tight before we haul ass, and make our journey back to Los Angeles. We're going to try to make about, give or take, 800 miles.
Probably.
What time we planning on getting on the road? I was talking about leaving the ranch about 5 a.m.
How about noon?
Hey, here's the thing. I told you we could...
No.
I told you we could stay and leave till Thursday.
No.
And get back on Saturday, but you didn't like that.
Get back on Saturday?
Well, Friday, but, it'd be a half day Friday.
No, I prefer to leave tomorrow.
Why? Because you have a Zumba class on Friday? That's bullshit. Are you jonesing that bad that as soon as we get back, you got to run to Zumba?
Oh, but someone sent you comments that you sent me about
What?
getting a Zumba Wii or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Get you a
that's
Wii
a good
or
idea.
like an Xbox or some kind of thing that you can play the little video and
Yeah,
dance along
I think
to.
I'm going to try that. I didn't know they had that.
All right, gang, to give me the go-home cue, it's time to wrap this podcast up and ride off into the sunset, and I literally mean ride off into the sunset because I'm going to be on my riding mower when the sun goes down trying to get all the work done here at the Broken Skull Ranch before we can pull up stakes and blast off to Los Angeles, California. Hopefully we have a safe trip back and meet no problems on the highways and byways of this great country of ours. Hey, before I go any further, I got the word of the day. Somebody sent me an email, and they asked me, Steve, hey, what does while ago mean? I hear you say that all the time on your podcast. And while ago is basically just saying while ago. A while ago. Like in the past. But the way I say it and the way I grew up hearing it here in Texas, it just turns into a word for me. While ago, I just had a cold beer. While ago, Kristen, I'm talking about while ago being the word of the day. All right. You say while ago all the time, right? No, I don't. See, is that something that I say? Let me plug you in real quick.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so while ago is the word of the day. Is this something that's unique to me? Do you hear other people say it?
No, I don't hear anybody saying it.
But you understand what I'm saying when I say it, right, Dad?
A while ago.
Yeah, like say, hey, did you clean up the dog shit today? And I say, yeah, a while ago I did.
Yeah, and what's the time frame?
Well, the most time I say no, but a lot of times I say, yeah, I did a while ago.
Yeah, but what does a while ago mean?
It means a while ago.
So how many minutes?
Well, it's not like there's a specific amount of time on a while ago.
So maybe 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Just
a while
somewhere
ago.
in the past?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Within the day.
Now, like if I really meant there's like a 2-month period of time, I would say, oh, well, it was a while ago. Now, a while ago means like real recent.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the way I break it down anyway. So anyway, that's my word of the day, while ago.
While ago.
Yeah, a while ago, my wife said, you got to hurry and finish this podcast so you can mow the yard so we can get our ass packed up and haul ass out here so she can make her Zumba class. Did you not say that a while ago?
While ago.
Say goodbye, Kristin.
Bye-bye.
No, he's supposed to say goodbye, Kristin.
Oh, goodbye.
No.
Goodbye, Kristin.
Thank you. Goddamn, work with me a little bit of comedic
I'm here
genius
sweating, loading up the RV right now, okay?
All right, I'm unplugging your mic.
Goodbye.
A while ago. All right, so anyway, folks, hey, I got some new T-shirt designs at the website, BrokenSkullRanch.com, and at Pro Wrestling Tees. All the stuff I wore from Broken Skull Challenge. And I got some koozies over there for sale, too, man. Keep your beer cold, keep your hands warm. And while I'm talking about the Broken Skull Ranch, Broken Skull Challenge is recasting, looking at Season 3. If you're big, bad, tough, small, dynamo, but you got a competitive side of you and you want to compete against the toughest cats in America, go to BrokenSkullChallenge.com and apply, because we're looking for people just like you. And you see how it goes down out there at the Broken Skull Ranch. It's badass, it's very simple, and it's very physical, and it's fair. And it's the baddest, toughest, coolest show on television, and it happens to be on country music television, CMT. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys hitting the download button to both shows, the family-friendly show on Tuesday and the Thursday show, which is Unleashed. And if you want to support the podcast, if you want to help a brother out, the best way you can do this is go to PodcastOne.com, click on the Keep Our Podcast Free button, and then find the Steve Austin Show and click on that, and you will find all of my Amazon links, Amazon USA, Canada, and UK. And if you use Amazon for your shopping experience, they don't charge you anything extra. They just kick back a little bit of proceeds to the show so that we can pay our production costs. Folks, I got a lot of work I got to go do. I appreciate you tuning into the show each and every single week. Me trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit with a no-show from my guest. I got to go jump on my riding lawnmower and mow this grass and then get ready to pack up and celebrate National Beer Day here at the Broken Skull Ranch before we head back to Los Angeles. And the next time I talk to you, that's where I will be, Los Angeles, California. And until then, my name is Steve motherfucking Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Stream all the movies and shows you love for free on Pluto TV.
Say what now? Showtime.
That means drama is free, with heart-wrenching stories from Love and Basketball, Power, and Greenleaf.
In this family, we live by the Spirit.
And laughter is free with gut-busting comedies like Key and Peele, The Neighborhood, Everybody Hates Chris, and Boomerang. Watch all the hits, all for free, from all your favorite devices.
Oh my God, I love it!
Feel the free Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.